Okay, so now we'd like to welcome Brighton High School counselor Kevin Donahue to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here.
You got it.
You're a school counselor.
Yes, I am.
We have a lot of kids who do not have school counselors.
Yeah.
What is a school counselor? What do you do? What's your job?
So you could probably break it down in three main components. The first part, and probably my favorite aspect of what we do, is working with students about stress, any issues that are going on at home, in the classroom, really things that have them upset, so what we would refer to as like social and emotional concerns. The second part that's pretty important that we do is monitoring academic success. So checking in on students who are struggling in classes, talking with them about things that they might be able to do to help themselves. And the third piece is post-high school planning. So talking about whether they want to go and get a career, whether they'd like to go to college, and helping them through that process.
Okay, so what are some of the things you do for your students? If I were to come in.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky that we get to do a lot of really cool things. So one of probably the biggest things that we do is like short-term individual counseling. So if a student is feeling stressed out, they're not sure where to go, I tell them all the time, like, if you just feel like you need a break, you need to get out of the classroom, you want to talk about things, or you just need a place to kind of compress. Everyone handles stress differently. Some people talk through it, and other people have other strategies that they use to help them get through whatever the problem is that they're facing at that time.
Cool.
All right, so do all schools have counselors?
All high schools should have a counselor, and I believe middle schools too. Once you get into the younger grades, they're not mandated like they are at other grade levels, but at every school there is someone who's there to talk to if you're feeling stressed out, you're having any concerns like the things we've mentioned already. Yeah.
Right. Now, how important is mental health?
It's really important for everyone. It's important for me, it's important for you, it's important for students. So knowing that everyone operates really differently and everyone's brains are wired differently, mental health looks a little bit different for everybody. I would say whether you're feeling like you're in a really positive mood and things are going really well in your life, or you're having some pretty significant struggles, it's important to keep mental health on the forefront of your mind and to be active in terms of making sure that you're doing things that are going to help you feel good. For a lot of students, we talk about things that are in your control as opposed to things that are out of your control. So even like exercise, eating healthy, sleeping, those types of things can go a really long way in terms of helping a person feel better.
So do you think like a lot of kids' issues are just like control issues, like feeling like when you're in high school, sometimes it's hard to feel like you're in control of what's going on? Yeah,
it's an issue for a lot of people, and we definitely find that that's a pretty common issue for students. Again, it's a lot of conversation of trying to help students kind of a lot of times they'll come in and be a little bit narrow-minded in terms of kind of what the problem is and how to go about it. So a lot of times we work with them to try to see different aspects and come up with solutions to their problems, whether that's them taking some sort of action step in, for an example, if there's an issue in the classroom, of meeting with a teacher. And knowing that everyone has a different comfort level with that. A lot of times we will offer, as a counselor, we mediate a lot of conversations. So if a student isn't feeling comfortable either talking with a peer or talking with a teacher, maybe talking with an administrator or even a parent or someone at home, we recognize the value in talking things out and having a voice. And so we try really hard, at least I try really hard as a counselor, to allow students to feel comfortable facing some of the challenges that they have.
So some of the things, so you're saying that one of the best ways to deal with stress, obviously, is to talk about it and just like own it and just kind of feel like, this is, put a voice to it and being able to talk to it about it. But what are some other things that kids could do? So like that's an important one, but what other strategies do kids have that they could deal with stress?
For sure, a pretty common thing that I work with students on is like different types of breathing exercises. Can be really helpful when we get stressed out. our bodies start to pick up the pace a little bit, and we start to breathe heavily, and we don't function that well when when our bodies aren't regulated. So one of the easiest things to do is to try to have some controlled breathing. There are apps that you can get on your phone. I tell students all the time, download one of these apps. You can take a break from class and walk around the halls for 5 minutes and practice.
And what are you looking for in the app? You're looking for control breathing app? That's what you look, you type that in?
Yeah,
okay.
There's one that I use, it's called Stop, Breathe, Think. That's something that a lot of students will use. And it just is sort of a guided activity where you just listen to someone very calmly sort of walk you through breathing in and breathing out, and it can be really helpful.
So that starts with being able to recognize in yourself, though, that you feel like, oh, wait a minute, right now I'm not feeling very mentally healthy. So
absolutely,
and that's okay to not feel mentally healthy at that moment.
It absolutely is okay. Wherever you're at, it's okay, and wherever you're at, there's something that you can do to make yourself feel a little bit better, for sure.
Now, if something is bothering students, do they always have to come to a counselor, or can they go to someone else in the school as well?
You know, I would like to think that counselors are a really great place to go, but I definitely recognize that there are a lot of important people in students' lives and people that they trust and feel supportive, whether that's a teacher, whether that's any adult in the building. I hear all the time students, oftentimes their biggest support is their friend circle. Now, of course, having the ability to talk with friends and to feel like their support is definitely important and valued, and I love when that happens. But it's really important to make sure students understand that there are times when it probably is going to make more sense to go to an adult or go to someone who's been trained in how to deal with some of these issues to ensure that they're getting the support that they need.
Or live through the issues.
Yes, absolutely, without a doubt.
So, I mean, just going back to friends too, so I know a lot of kids, and I think about my kids at school and my own children, dealing with friends who are going through stress. Like a lot of kids pick that up, like their friends are having a really bad time, they might be okay. So I have a friend who's struggling, what can I do to help my friend? How can I best support my friend? What would you say?
You know, one of the biggest things that we tend to see quite a bit, at least in the high school, is that a student will say, you know, my friend just told me about this really stressful stuff, but they told me not to tell anyone. And that can put people in a really challenging position. I tell students all the time to be as upfront and honest as they can be, but that if at any point you're feeling like the information that you're telling me is either too dangerous or too risky, or feeling like we need to sort of take it to the next step. Certainly if someone is talking to you about their own personal safety or the safety of other people, that it's time to tell an adult. And like I said, the counseling department in most schools would be a great place to go, because we're trained in how to deal with that and how to guide students through that to ensure that they're getting all the support that they need, that they're going to be safe.
So there's some issues that are just, that kids need to be able to say, oh, this is a grown-up issue. It's okay to put a grown-up into this thing because this is beyond what I could possibly handle.
Yes, absolutely. I can't imagine if I was a younger person dealing with some of the issues that students are dealing with today.
Great. Yeah. That's awesome. So Kevin, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. Hopefully some of our students have some great stress strategies for themselves. We'd like to thank Kevin for being here tonight. And now stay right there. We'll be back in a second.